According to the Global Status Report released by the World Health Organization, the number of road traffic deaths continue to be on the rise annually. This indicates that the efforts to realize Sustainable Development Goal SDG Target 3.6, which calls for a 50% reduction in the number of road traffic deaths by 2020, remains a mirage. It is with this in mind that a World Day has been set aside by the United Nations to remember and bring due attention to traffic safety. Welcome to Road Matters. I am Fatima Umar. Road Matters recently went hiking with some organized young traffic safety advocates to bring attention to the people, the effect of road accidents, both on the direct victims and the indirect victims, usually family members and friends. Stay tuned.
Road traffic injuries are now the leading cause of death for children and young adults globally. The world remembered many millions killed on the road as the United Nations Day for Remembrance of Road Traffic Victims was marked. In Nigeria, traffic safety advocates went on a hike to raise awareness with the theme Hike for Safety, going on the hike with young people who have stories to tell.
We are here today to mark the UN World Day of Remembrance for Road Traffic Victims. It is a global day marked across the globe. And what is it about? The World Day of Remembrance for Road Traffic Victims, is marked in order to remember the many that are being killed every day on the global road, and also to remember their families and, of course, the properties that are being wasted on the world road. I'd like to let you know that road traffic crashes are the leading killer of young people across the globe. So road traffic crashes are killing more young people than HIV and AIDS, tuberculosis, cancer, any disease you can think about this. And this is unacceptable. These deaths are all preventable and avoidable. And so we have mobilized young people across board to come and raise awareness on road safety, but most importantly, to remember the victims of road traffic crashes.
Joshua Obada lost his brother, the breadwinner of the family, on the road.
I lost my elder brother to road crash. To give you a bit of what the scenario, what really transpired, it happened 2 years ago. A certain Dangote truck in Ifaki, Ekiti, in Ekiti State, the truck got spoiled and it was actually in a bend. So he was going from Ado Ekiti and then going to Oye Ekiti. Maybe those who know the area would be familiar with what I'm trying to narrate now. So the truck was actually in Ifaki, Ekiti. It was in the evening around 7:30. It was dark. They didn't know there was a truck there. So he ran into the truck. My elder brother was the driver. So they ran into the truck. Of course, that was a crash. And then the car went ablaze. So he was the driver with 2 other persons. So the 3 of them in the vehicle got burnt beyond recognition. So, well, we were able to know that, okay, this is my brother because we just had to go with the bones we saw at the driver's seat. So that was just what we buried. So it was a very tragic moment for the family. He was the breadwinner, of course. He has 4 kids. 3 of the kids were born before he died. The 4th kid, after he died, his wife was pregnant. So I am looking at, I don't want to start bringing back the emotion so I don't start crying. Well, we've tried to move on, but of course, the economic impact, not like I don't miss him or I'm not crying that he's no more, but the economic impact is what is, it makes me to feel it the more. I tell some people I'm not married, but I like to say I have a wife and kids because my elder brother left a wife and 4 children.
David Chidobi had a terrible accident that was avoidable if animals stay away from the road, even though he was in a hurry. David tells his story.
2014, I had an event in Lagos, and that early morning I didn't actually wake up on time, and so I boarded an Okada. The Okada was in a very high speed, and I failed to complain and I failed to actually ask him to slow down, simply because I was also trying to catch up with my boss that morning. And all of a sudden, while the machine was in a very high speed, a dog ran out from nowhere and entered the road. Man carrying me applied brake, a full brake, and the next thing, wow, all of us are up. I could only remember I saw myself up, and the next thing I saw myself on the ground, very close to the drainage, and there was injury all over my hand, my leg, and of course I couldn't go to Lagos anymore. The event had to be cancelled, and one negative impact that incident had on my family was that whenever I want to travel and my family is aware, they are always disturbed. They will always call me till I get to the place. And one major cause of that accident was overspeeding. And I will also advise every young person that despite how you're trying to beat the time, you must also make sure to remember that it is he who is alive, or it is she who is alive, that will actually get to where you're going and people will say welcome. I also like to beg all stakeholders to also implement policies that will also curtail speed on the road and the rate at which animals walk and run into our road.
You can stop to give a help, to cordon off the environment to ensure that the victims are not further endangered in that scene of the accident. And then we also encourage people to imbibe first aid skills. This is a life skill that can see you through whatever emergency you find yourself in life.
For Martin Agoa, it was a double bitter dose as he lost his 2 cousins on the road. Martin tells his story.
In 2012, I lost 2 cousin sisters to 2 different incidents of road traffic crashes. The first one, she had an accident in, February 27th or so in Benin. So she was on a bike with another of my cousin sister. and a car was coming from BIU. For those who are familiar with Benin, somewhere in GR Road there, it was a T junction, and so they were coming this way and the car was coming from the other way. He was speeding and then lost control and just hit them. And unfortunately for them, there was a building construction where they sell building construction materials by the side. So it flung my cousin's sisters into the construction site, and metal and all of those things pierced one of them, and then she was rushed to the hospital, Uniben Teaching Hospital. She was in the intensive care unit for about 5 days, and on March 2nd, she died, but the other one survived. March 6th, we went for the burial. After the burial, another cousin sister of mine was returning back to school. She decided to leave immediately the burial. In fact, recalling the incident now, I recall that we tried to ask her not to go that day, but she insisted. She boarded the bus from Asaba going to Abraka, and on her way, somewhere, is it Abavo or so, I can't remember the name of the place, they had another collision. She hit her head against the passenger in front. She was rushed again to the same Uniben Teaching Hospital from Delta State there, and 2 days later, on March 8th, she died again. When we commemorate the World Day of Remembrance of Road Traffic Victims, for me in particular, these two persons come to mind. And then one thing that must be said from this is speeding. It's not cool to speed. A lot of accidents would not happen if the drivers were more cautious, did not speed. And for the two incidents that claimed the lives of my cousin sisters, speeding was a part of it. We must continue to spread the message. This is a call to especially those who are in the health field, medical professionals, hospitals and what have you. The alacrity with which they attend to some of these things can be improved upon. I recall that it took a lot of time before they attended to my cousin sisters in both instances, because she was taken first to a hospital somewhere in Delta State, and they didn't do anything. They just put her down there. She was there reading in pain, before the case became really, really critical. And by the time she was rushed to a better facility at UBTH, it was late. There was little or nothing that they could do.
Accidents do not just occur, they are caused. We therefore can avoid them by being careful and wise. A wise driver is one who drives for himself as well as for others by considering and following these simple tips. If you must drive, then you must not drink alcohol. Alcohol, even at the lowest level, intoxicates and reduces reaction time and coordination, which makes most drivers take unwise decisions. 30% of auto crash in Nigeria and beyond have been linked to impairment caused by alcohol. Avoid speeding. Speeding is one of the most prevalent factors contributing to traffic crashes. Speed reduces control in an emergency. A safety-conscious driver leaves early so as to maintain a minimum acceptable speed. Speed kills. Avoid distraction. If you drive and make calls, stop it. If you drive and send text messages, desist from it. Avoid watching television while driving. Avoid applying makeup, fiddling with electronic devices, eating or feeding children while driving. Keep your eyes on the road always. Do not drive while drowsy. A study conducted by researchers at Virginia Tech reported that 20% of all accidents have sleepiness as a contributing factor. If you are on a long trip and feel sleepy, please park off the road and take a nap, even if it's just for a few minutes. A safety-conscious driver always insists on a good night's rest. Keeping a company can help ward off sleep. Always wear your seat belt. When worn properly, Seatbelts can prevent drivers and passengers from being thrown around the car or on the windshield in the event of an accident. Crash can send unbelted persons crashing into the dashboard or side windows, resulting in severe head injuries, broken bones, or even death. Always mind the weather. Driving needs extra caution during the rain as the roads get slippery and visibility is poor. A careful driver will slow down, keep a good distance, and even park and wait it out if the weather gets really bad. Mind the bummers. Safe driving guidelines or traffic rules insist on a safe distance in between the cars. This helps drivers react well if the car in front suddenly turns or stops. At night, it is even advisable to double the distance. Watch out for the other guy. Knowing and going by all the rules does not guarantee safety. A good rule of thumb to use is assume everyone else on the road is mad. So, you are the controller. Do not wait to claim rights. A little wait won't hurt. Always give way to the traffic on your left. A safety-conscious driver must do the first things first daily. Check your car oil and water. Check the tires and always listen to your car engine and have them serviced when due. Finally, a safety-conscious driver must never drive when he or she is emotionally unbalanced or uncoordinated. Be safety-conscious. Drive with care. Life has no duplicate.
Anene Chukwedo's father had a terrible accident that has changed his life forever.
In November 2012, my dad boarded a transit to Onitsha. He's a businessman, so their car had accidents. And in the 13-seater bus, 11 persons died. So he was among the 2 that survived. He spent 2 days in the intensive care unit, so before he regained himself. So the accident was very, very acute. His head was open and you can see his brain. So that was how acute the accident was. So after 2 days in the intensive care unit, he gained consciousness. So after that, he was moved to another section of the hospital. So everything that we had, so everything was spent in the hospital. Overspeeding, because from the illustration that we had, there was a car that was coming from the back of the transit board that hit them from the back. So the car tumbled twice, and then which led to the cause of 11 persons in the bus. Only 2 persons survived, and my dad was one of those who survived. It really affected his memory. He couldn't remember his family. If I'm talking to my dad don't know who I am. If my mom is talking to my dad don't know who my mom is. The only persons my dad called is those people who have died and gone. He was just calling their names. So that was how acute it was. It really affected his memory. So glory be to God. In December 2013, he was discharged from the hospital. Then we began to come closer to him. He began to remember his family. Because my dad is a kind of person that has so much energy. He's the energy type. He's not a cool type. So, but after the accident, he was an opposite of himself. So when you see him, he doesn't talk so much again, and he hasn't gained his consciousness. You see him now, he will climb a bike. Whenever he climbs a bike, he calls a place that he has lived before in Zamfara. He tells the bike, he's in Abuja, but he tells the bike that he's going to Zamfara. The bike should take him to Zamfara. So that was the extent to which the accident affected his brain.
We are here to say, drive to live. We are here to say, slow down. But again, We are here to call on the attention of all stakeholders, policymakers, government, to rise up to the challenges of road traffic crashes. We are losing our young people. We are losing our family. We are losing our friends. And we don't want this to continue any longer. We are tired of losing them. Please stop road crashes on the road. Improve our roads. Make our road of standards. And once we do this, all road users, including the vulnerable one, will be safe on the road. Thank you so much, and drive to live.
The urgent need to declare safety on the road a state of emergency is now. We're losing brothers, sisters, friends, properties, and means of livelihood to road traffic crashes. It is unacceptable and can be prevented. Thank you for watching. You can stay in touch with the program on our social media handle on Twitter at RoadMattersNTA or send a mail to roadmatters@nta.ng. Until the next episode, I am Fatima Omar. It is time for us all to play our parts in ensuring that all road users are safe. Bye-bye.